All right, let me be the first to say that Jon Rahm got screwed. Jon Rahm got robbed. Here's what I don't understand about the Rahm story. He was, as everyone knows by now, bizarre twist in the Memorial Tournament, the Jack Nicklaus Tournament over the weekend. Rahm was in control. He was by far the best player for the first 3 days, up by 6 shots, cruising to a championship in that tournament when they told him after his third round that he tested positive for the coronavirus. Rahm was devastated. He obviously didn't hang around, didn't talk, didn't mingle, but just went home and then issued a statement, said, it's too bad. Good luck to everybody. But most stories that about some element of the virus, some element of the pandemic are partisan. Most stories, as we know, see Dr. Fauci. Half the country hates him. Half the country is standing by him, even though they know he's lied for a year. They know he's just a political hack who did not tell the truth about the origin, about masks, about the school closing for a year. They know that, but they're standing by him because it's political. Republicans can't stand him. Democrats are circling the wagons around him, and anything else, masks, shutdowns, you name it. There's half the country is on one side, half on the other. Well, where's the people who want to defend Jon Rahm? And I'll tell you how I can defend him. They do this all the time in tournaments. If there's an odd number of players, they have a guy go out by himself. They could do it early in the tournament. He could be the first guy out on Sunday. They could have nobody with him. He could be alone with his caddy. He could wear a mask. He could stay away from all the other players. It's golf. You don't have to go near anyone. We already know there's no such thing, or it is very, very rare to have outdoor transmission of the virus from casual contact. There's no examples of it. The New York Times admitted it worldwide. Nobody, as far as they know, has gotten the virus from outdoor casual contact. So let Jon Rahm play on Sunday by himself. His caddy can wear a mask. They can, his caddy's probably vaccinated, and go out and win the tournament. He would have. I have no doubt it would have been fascinating.
Aren't you a rule? I mean, minus maybe some of the COVID guidelines that you didn't like. Those are guidelines, but you're a rule follower. The rules are the rules. You tested positive, INR. See you later.
I disagree, and you got to challenge the rules in this case, in this era, in this climate. No, some rules were meant to be broken, and Jon Rahm didn't complain. I didn't hear anybody even say a word about this. They just said, "Oh, it's too bad he tested positive." He's asymptomatic, by the way, which is very rare for an asymptomatic person to transmit the virus to somebody else, particularly outdoors. Wouldn't that have been cool if they said you could start before everybody else? You're leading the tournament, but you're going off first, or you could wait till last. The fans would stay away from him, or many of the fans would stay away from him just because a lot of people are following the voodoo, not the science. They're following the voodoo, and they're thinking, "Oh, the scary virus is going to get me. I'll stay away from him." That's fine. The cameras, the cameramen, the announcers, they're all socially distanced from Rahm. They don't have to go near him. To watch him go out there on Sunday morning by himself and win the tournament would have been fascinating. Would have been great for the game, great for the tournament. People would have been kicking and screaming and saying how dangerous this is, but it's really not. The adults who want to be vaccinated have been vaccinated. I'm going to guess a number of the players aren't vaccinated. We know a number of NBA players, NFL players. We know young, athletic, fit, healthy people don't really need it. I know Joe Rogan said that and then changed his mind, the next day because somebody pressured him. But that's the way they look at it. They say, I don't really need to be vaccinated. If I get it, I won't even know it. See Jon Rahm. He has the virus. He has no symptoms. So if they let him go out and play and win, it would have been a fascinating thing to watch. It would have been great TV. And it would have been, what else it would have been, Kalani? It would have been fair. All right? Fair. He's leading the tournament after 3 days. They tell me he has to go home. He gets nothing. Patrick Cantlay beats Colin Morikawa in a playoff, wins $1.7 million. That's what they took away from Jon Rahm because he was infected with a virus that he didn't even know he had. It just
because he's a borderline criminal who won't get vaccinated. Actually,
I mean, do you think the players were rushing to their nearest, Walmart or wherever they're doing the vaccines in their towns? Or are they going to their doctor's office? Or they said, "Okay, you got me. Give me the vaccine."
I mean, do you want to get paid $1.6 million or not?
This is the greatest ad for at least people in that, who are golfers and the guys on the tour. The greatest ad you can have for the vaccine. It cost Jon Rahm, one of the best players in the world, $1.7 million and a championship, a trophy. I wonder if today there's a rush on vaccines among PGA players, just saying, I don't really feel like I need to be injected with some. Again, if I get the virus, I won't even know it. Shoot me up. I can't take a risk. I'm going to guess there's at least a few players who are doing that. Some of them, they got some comorbidities, like Patrick Reed, little chubby. He probably already got vaccinated. I'm going to guess some of the guys. I don't know. I don't even know if the media are asking people like, Patrick Cantlay, if they're asking young, healthy, thin, fit players, have you been vaccinated? If I'm a player, I just say none of your business, because it really isn't. They should say.
That's what all the comments I saw about it yesterday. A lot of comments were obviously defending Rahm to some extent, but then wouldn't comment on whether or not they'd been vaccinated.
Well, good. I'm not going to tell you either, Callahan. None of your business.
Absolutely, you got vaccinated.
None of your business.
I don't know much, but I know you're not going to risk the chance to not play golf. So you absolutely were vaccinated.
I'm not telling you, but I wonder if there will be restaurants and golf courses that say you can't play here if you're not vaccinated. Because if the goal is just to get people vaccinated and you pressure, you don't think it's going to save your life. That's not how people think. I don't think that I was going to die from the coronavirus. But if you say, I can't live my life, I can't go to restaurants, I can't fly on planes, I can't play golf, then you go, you know what the hell? People are practical in the end. You don't want to, we know it's become political. I mean, hell, yesterday, Fauci, who some people still say he's not a politician. We know that's a lie. We know he's a political hack. But if you're defending Fauci and you want us to believe he's a man of science who wore 2 masks, when he knew in private that masks didn't do a damn thing, he admitted in emails that masks don't protect you from this virus. And then he went out in public with 2 masks. That's what you call a politician who's putting on a performance. But anyway, if you were going to defend Fauci and say he's not all about politics and, picking one side over the other, then look at yesterday. He was in New York. He was in Harlem, I believe, with Dr. Jill Biden. He was masked up, even though he's vaccinated, even though we saw in the emails where he said the masks don't work. He was masked up and making an appearance with the wife of the president. That's a politician. And I think that one of the most fascinating things to come out of this pandemic, this whole crazy last year and a half, which, hopefully we'll never have to live through again, but it has revealed a lot of things about a lot of people. And it is the most divisive story I think I've ever seen. I mean, literally, you have people on on most networks, 3/4 of the media, saying that the emails don't reflect poorly on Fauci. Don't point out that he's a hypocrite and a liar. You have the other 20% of the media, mostly Fox News and the New York Post, who've been right about most things. They've been right about most things. They're pointing out that Fauci has flip-flopped and lied over and over again, and about the most important things, things like masks and school closings and shutdowns. Again, this is a guy who in a year and a half has expressed no concern, no sympathy for people struggling, kids who are falling behind in school, kids who are taking drugs, people who are, losing their businesses and drinking or domestic abuse. I mean, there's just so many ancillary issues that Fauci has just dismissed in the name of science. And if you look at the timeline, if you look at the things he said and did and the pronouncements, and by the way, the guy's making 5-6 TV appearances a day, writing a book, making a documentary. Someone has to ask him at some point when he had time to doctor? I mean, he's an alleged doctor. When did you do all your doctoring? When were you in the office, looking at a computer or looking at one of those, microscopes, looking at things under the microscope? When did you ever do that? You spent your life, all your waking hours emailing. I mean, the guy wrote 15,000 emails, and how long was it? 3 months? He's 80. He's 80. But to me, what the low point or the most partisan moment I've ever seen was all this comes out. We now know Fauci lied about all these very critical things, and we know he was just drunk with power and in love with the TV, the cameras, the attention. I mean, this is a guy who lives to be a celebrity. I've pointed out one of the funny things in the emails was he was quick to return an email from Morgan Fairchild. Who even knew she was still alive? But here he is, this bureaucrat sitting in his office in the middle of a pandemic, taking time out to write an email or return an email to Morgan Fairchild, not to mention everybody at CNN, all his buddies at MSNBC, always had time for them. I'm not sure when he had time to actually do his job, a job for which he makes more money than any federal employee. He's been exposed. He's a fraud. He's a flip-flopper. But the president of the United States was asked if he would fire him. A guy we know has lied about the origin about the virus, who knew it wasn't from a bat. He knew it all along. And he indulged that theory because his goal all along was to hurt Trump. It worked. I mean, he's on picked sides. He was on Team Biden. They won. He won. It worked. But a man who lied about the origins of the virus, lied about the lab leak, knew it was most likely a lab leak, knew it didn't jump from a bat. He just played along with that to help Biden hurt Trump. And I guess I should understand this, but with all that corruption right in front of you in these emails, and by the way, more to come, Joe Biden's asked about would he fire him. Joe Biden's leaving the room, the interview room, pokes his head back in. Another really bizarre Biden moment. I mean, just awkward and uncomfortable to say no, he would never fire Fauci. So I guess he'll never be fired. I don't even think it should be that tough a decision. Biden should just say, Tony, buddy, I appreciate everything you did for me. I wouldn't be here without you, but you're 80. You are looking at a $300,000 a year pension. Time to go home. We're not going to fire you in disgrace, but it's time to just say, I've had enough stress, enough work. It's time to spend time with my grandchildren or time to do some gardening or play golf or whatever. It's time to get out of the spotlight. If you want to call, Chuck Todd, George Stephanopoulos, you can do that on your own time. We need someone in here who's going to really do the job and not be so swept up in his own celebrity. But anyway.
You would have hated whoever did the job. Doesn't matter who did it, who it was, what side of the aisle, you would have despised whoever it was this year.
Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, do you think if someone was honest and said it was leaked from a lab, we know the Chinese communist.
I think whoever it was, yeah,
that would be true. It is amazing. It's the biggest story, and I'll say it again, in all our lifetimes, one of the biggest stories in the history of mankind. One of the biggest stories ever, period. And he's lying. A number of people are lying about the origin to protect the Chinese Communist Party. But I'll say this to him, Fauci, clearly in the emails we see, he's got a great relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. He's financing the research from which this virus leaked. The lab. He's financing it. We're taking your money out of your paycheck, Dave Callahan, a little bit of money every 2 weeks, and it's going to the Wuhan lab where they're working on this gain of function research, and it leaked from there. And when you hear doctors, like people in the know, they knew it was much, much more likely to come from the lab where they're actually doing this kind of research than to jump from a bat 1,000 miles away. That was made up. And for a number of reasons, mainly to protect the Chinese, but also once Trump, made it clear that he believed it leaked from a lab, that meant everybody who was devoted to stopping Trump had to go with the bat theory, including Fauci, a guy everybody was listening to. The guy was like an oracle last year at this time. If he said it was a bat, hell, I believed it. You believed it. We all believed it. That was not true. That's a fireable offense, period, by any definition. But I guess the reason he was so deceitful was to benefit Biden. So I guess we can't expect Biden to punish him for that. He should be rewarding him. And I guess he is. I mean, hell, he's making appearances with Jill Biden yesterday. It's just madness. And
your new producer better not let the audience forget that you're a day one Fauci guy. You can try to hate on him all you want. You were on board with Fauci more than anybody in the early days.
Even worse. Remember, we did a show with Turtle Boy, and I was talking about Fauci. He goes, "I don't know who you're talking about. Who is Fauci?"
You were offended by that.
I said, "Who is Fauci? He's everywhere." That's like asking, "Who is Ryan Seacrest?" You know, he's just turn on your TV. There he is. But worse yet, and can you just keep this under your hat? I really don't want to admit to this. There was a couple of days last March where should I admit this or just go delete? Should I delete my old tweets and delete the old shows?
I think, I'm a big censor guy. Yeah, go on.
I said some kind words. I had some kind words for Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, wow. On this podcast?
Yes, well, not a lot. I just mentioned in passing that he was impressive. And you know what? It's the same reason Cuomo and Fauci gave good press conference early on a year ago, March of 2020. And it ended pretty quickly for Cuomo, and we know why, because I mean, we had Janice Dean on the show when last, I don't know what it was, June or May. It was pretty early on. And when you learn the truth about Cuomo, you have to be one blind hack politically to stand by Cuomo, to not think Cuomo is just pure evil. He's just scum, absolute scum now. But I remember saying that, watching a press conference and saying, man, he's good at this. And Fauci was the same way. He just gave you a sense of, surety of confidence when you listen to him talk and take questions. I mean, little did I know he was lying his ass off, and he was trying to, help Joe Biden defeat Donald Trump, Trump made a lot of mistakes with personnel. I mean, you name it, Michael Cohen, Omarosa, he's made some mistakes, but he should have fired Fauci, a year ago. Fauci should have been out, and we know that now. But it is funny. Most people thought Fauci was pretty good early on. We didn't know he was lying. We didn't know he was flip-flopping. We didn't know that he knew masks didn't work when he was telling children to double mask it at summer camp. I'm like, let's be honest. There's a long list. A lot of it's on record. A long list of him saying one thing and believing another in private. That was the guy who we were taking our orders from. That's the guy who was telling us what to do. Who was literally the reason states were locked down and schools were closed. And he knew early on it was not necessary. The kids were not generally at any risk at all, and yet he's putting your children, setting them back, keeping them out of school, locked away at home, and he knew that wasn't necessary. He did it anyway. It's incredible, but Biden's made it clear he's going nowhere. He's going to continue to be an important voice, and now you just hear him and you wonder, is this one of his whoppers, or is he telling the truth today? And you won't see him on Fox News. He used to go on. He was on with Tucker. He was on with Laura Ingraham. There'll be none of that. He's picked a team. He will be on with, and he always uses all their first names, even obscure CNN guys like John Berman and Allison Camerata. So, let me tell you, Allison. Oh, let me tell you, John. And you're going, how does he know? How does he keep all these people straight? He's 80.
Where are those emails, by the way? We need to get some of those emails, like all CNN acres and everything.
Was it Kira Phillips, I believe, from
the ABC investigative report?
And she wrote him an email just to tell him how great he is. You're so great. You just assure us all. We really appreciate it. And it's like, you're a reporter. Get off your knees. It's like Brian Steltner. You got to get this sound from yesterday. Brian Steltner asking Jen Psaki, the spokesperson for Biden, what is one person called, the Ginger Goebbels? I don't like Nazi references. Not my reference, not my nickname, but someone calls her the Ginger Goebbels on Twitter. Anyway, he asks her, what have we gotten wrong? Where is the media wrong about the Biden administration? Tell us how we can do better by buying your BS. Tell us, please, thank you, man. May I have another? It's embarrassing. It's one of Glenn Greenwald just tweeted this out. I think I just retweeted this. The most embarrassing performance or something in the history of the media with a White House with a he writes, I'm not using hyperbole when I say that the interview Steltler did with Jen Psaki should be studied in journalism school. It's one of the most sycophantic interviews of a state official you will ever see. This is how state TV functions, says Glenn Greenwald. But I don't think a guy like Steltler cares. He's so enamored of Psaki and everyone in the new administration, and he so hated Trump. He doesn't care how bad it makes him look. He is there to serve his masters, and his masters are in the Biden administration.
What might lie ahead? Jen, thanks for coming on Reliable Sources.
My pleasure.
Busy summer ahead, infrastructure, election reform. What does the press get wrong when covering Biden's agenda? When you watch the news, when you read the news, what do you think we get wrong?
Is this the whole thing? He just asked, what do we get wrong? How can we serve you better?
How can we do better? Yes. And again, and lots of media are slobbering all over the new administration. Hell, Annie Leibovitz from Vanity Fair was in there to take glamour shots of Jen Psaki. They never did it for Kayleigh McEnany, but they're in there to take these photos of these Vanity Fair photos of Jen Psaki. And there's been many profiles of the glamorous Jill Biden. Never had one of the supermodel who was in her position for 4 years. She didn't warrant, I don't even think, a single magazine cover. But now Jill Biden is everywhere. But anyway, why did you get me off on that? Why did you bring that up? Why, what?
I don't know. I'd say mine. I mean, if Fauci's your number one enemy, my number one enemy now is just the stores that I go to needs to clearly outline whether they want me to wear a mask or not. I need that to happen. I don't need the confusion in my life. All right. The grocery store, 50% of people are wearing them, 50 aren't. There's a little sign on the door. I'm not seeking that shit out. All right. Just tell me, have a flag out in the front or something, a certain color.
I got a good story. I went last night to a grocery store at 9:15 at night, and I walk in and the sign said, we request unvaccinated customers wear masks, which meant nobody was wearing masks. It was a treat. I had one in my pocket, and I was literally reaching for it when I went in the door. And I said, oh, cool. I get to go to this grocery store, big grocery store, without my mask. But here's what happened. It has nothing to do with the virus. I know I don't have a lot of time. I usually just use a basket thing, I don't get the big cart when my wife does the bulk shopping, but I had to do some shopping, and I had to get some, heavy things like milk and, like bottles of water and stuff. So I said, I better get a push cart. I go, and I know I don't have a lot of time. I grab a couple things. I throw it in some cheese and some bread, and I'm throwing it in the basket. I go up the aisle. I leave the cart at the end, the beginning of the aisle. I go down one aisle, back the other. My cart's gone with stuff in it. I go, what the hell? The store's probably trying to close. I go over. There's a manager standing right there. I said, someone just took my cart when this was groceries in it. He goes, I go, did you work? And he goes, no, we wouldn't do that. I go, no, you guys didn't do it. No. So a customer did. He goes, yep. He goes, if you look around. And I'm walking around the store. I grab a hand thing, and I'm walking around the store looking in. There's not many customers there, but I'm looking in to see if they stole my cart with my stuff in it. And I never caught the person. I had to.
Well, only psychopaths go to the grocery store at 9:30 at night. So
it's 8:45, and I like the idea because there's not that many people. There's no cars in the parking lot. But it was weird because they start announcing we're closing in 10 minutes, and I had to start over. I had to go back on my little list and see what stuff the guy stole from me, which brought me, as I'm checking out, the guy at the checkout, he saw it all happen. And he said, "Oh, you ever find your stuff?" I go, "No." I go, but it reminds me of a Seinfeld bit where he talks about going in the grocery store and taking stuff out of other people's carts. And they say, "What are you doing?" He says, "You didn't buy it. It still belongs to the store. You can't, you don't own this yet." And the kid just looks at me. He doesn't even know who Seinfeld is. He's looking at me going, what are you talking about? I go, it's just a joke. Seinfeld does whatever. But I never found my stuff or my cart. So I ran, like literally had 10 minutes, ran around the store, got most of what I had on my list, but not everything. And walk out literally the manager held the door for me as I'm leaving. He's like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. We never got the guy. But exactly why would you want to do that? Maybe the guy just needed a cart and said there wasn't much in this cart and he'll just throw it back on the shelves. But anyway, it was fun because I was maskless. Yes, we were at a grocery store and I was maskless. But all right, let's get to a couple of other things we have here. Callahan, we got to get to the Matt Walsh AOC story, which is just the greatest troll job ever. But first, I want to talk about the police. I want to defend, not defund, defend the police. Back the blue. Blue Lives Matter. Hashtag. All that. Because it was a rough weekend in New England. If you were following the news, just a couple of incredibly tragic stories in Braintree, Massachusetts. And if you want to read about this, you can go to TB Daily News because no one covers these stories better than Turtle Boy. Not even close. You want details. You want stuff that you won't read. You certainly won't read in the Boston Globe. Go to TB Daily News, the best reporter around. In Braintree, 2 cops were shot and wounded, and a police dog, a canine dog, was shot and killed by this scumbag fugitive who died. The cops killed him, which is great. Turtle Boy has the details of this this quality individual who's no longer with us and what a service these cops did. But that was sad. Dog died after 12 years. Kit was the dog's name. But in Worcester, a much more tragic story when a 14-year-old and a 14-year-old drowned in this pond, and a cop named Manny Familia, Officer Familia, died trying to save the child. And it's incredibly tragic when you think about it. These kids, it was a group of 14-year-olds at 1:30 in the afternoon on a school day trying to swim across a pond on a golf course. And as Turtle Boy points out, it was not a place for swimming. It's kind of a dirty, mucky pond. And you and I were talking about this earlier, Cullen, and we don't really have all the details, but I can't imagine a scenario where this cop, Officer Familia, a 39-year-old father, I can't imagine a scenario where where a person would act with more courage. And that's saying a lot on the anniversary of D-Day, because those are the most courageous people in the history of the world who hit the beaches first. These 18-year-old kids who hit the beaches first at 77 years ago, June 6th. But this cop, I'm not sure he thought, like, I can swim. Maybe he had his doubts. He's in uniform, I assume. He gets there, he sees a kid flailing for his life, and he jumps right in. That takes incredible balls. And unfortunately, he paid a price. He lost his life, and the kid lost his life, and it's so freaking sad. But it just makes a couple things. It makes you sick to think of the people just right who made it fashionable to hate cops. And I put at the top of that list my Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, and one of my senators, Liz Warren. And I went and checked. And of course, neither of them tweeted anything about Officer Familia. If Officer Familia had shot the 14-year-old because the 14-year-old had a gun or whatever, they would be the first people, front of the line, saying defund the cops, take away qualified immunity, whatever. Just any way they could. I mean, Liz Warren flat out said cops are racist. And to top her, Ayanna Pressley said cops are murderers. And I'll say it again. I'm going to say it every chance I get for the rest of my freaking life if I have to. But about a month ago, it was 2 weeks after the George Floyd verdict, and Ayanna Pressley said flat out that the cops have murdered 70 people since the verdict. In the 2 weeks following the verdict, she said police in this country have murdered 70 people. She's a liar, and she hates cops. She always defends criminals, always blames cops, and she had nothing to say about this courageous cop who tried to save the life of, and you know what she's probably checking to see what race is the kid. That's all that matters to Ayanna Pressley. If you follow her on Twitter, every single thing is about race. That's all that matters to her. She doesn't care that a cop died because she hates cops. She just, no, that's just the truth. You blame people, you make up a lie, say people, one group of people murdered 70 innocent people. I'm sorry, you can come to no other conclusion that she hates cops. I mean, Liz Warren's not a big fan either when she says they're all racist. The whole system is racist. But neither, and check this out, Cullinan. Ayanna Pressley has 1 million followers, didn't say a word about Officer Familia. Liz Warren has 6.7 million followers. They didn't hear about Officer Familia. And Ed Markey, and you know I'm no fan of Ed Markey. Most of his tweets are about, Green New Deal crap and destroying the economy to save the environment, all that nonsense. I mean, he is a disgrace, but at least he did this, and we just put it up on the screen. He sent condolences out for the death of Manny Familia. Mourn the loss of Manny Familia. His family is in our hearts. I mean, it's almost obligatory. You're supposed to do this, but not if you're Liz Warren, not if you're Ayanna Pressley. You don't care because he wore a badge. He wore blue, and those people don't matter. And it's just sick. It's sick that we've turned the public, not the entire public, but a large amount of people against people like the two cops in Braintree who were injured, or the officer in Worcester, Manny Familia, who lost his life. And it's sad. It's tragic. But I love the way his, brothers in blue react in these situations. They took the casket, was it yesterday? Transported it. Huge procession of motorcycle cops. But even better was Sunday. His son, who I believe is 13 years old, his son played a Little League game, decided he wanted to play. And he plays shortstop. And he shows up to play, and a whole bunch, I don't know the number, but 100 Worcester cops showed up to cheer him on, to watch him. And it just, you can't see those pictures or see that video without getting it.
That was remarkable. He also didn't he throw out the first pitch at the Woo Sox? It's the Woo Sox.
Oh, right.
He threw out the first pitch there. A 13-year-old kid doing that days after this. That's remarkable.
I know. I give him credit. I couldn't do it. I lost my father when I was 50 something, and I was a mess. This kid, I mean, I guess takes after dad. Has got some real guts, and good for the Worcester Sox. My old friend Larry Lucchino probably made that call. But when the cops all show up on a hot weekend, they take their time to go watch the Little League game just to support. I get choked up just looking at these long processions, looking at the fire trucks that put the big put the ladders and make like a gate for the hearse to go through, and all the cops that are escorting it. Great. These guys know how to take care of each other. It must be sickening to be one of them and know you don't have the support of your representatives in Congress or in the Senate. And you have people out there screaming to defund the cops, to take away, get rid of people like Manny Familia. That's what they want. That's what Ayanna Pressley wants. They want him fired. They want him, to go find, go learn to code, or, go, stay home and collect, unemployment. And he couldn't save the kid, but damn it, he tried. And I can't think of a better example of just incredible courage. And it's sad, and hopefully people will remember this guy, Manny Familia. But on a lighter note, I want to get to this Matt Walsh AOC story, because it had me laughing, and it was the most brilliant stunt. I guess I'd call it a stunt. It was a stunt. It was an act of philanthropy. It was an act of charity, but it was also a stunt. And I got to set it up because it's a little, and I guess it's simple enough, but we all know AOC, and AOC was tweeting about her abuela. Abuela's her grandmother in Puerto Rico. And you can get that tweet, Callahan, because the picture tells the story here. The picture, she shows her grandmother's rundown apartment or house, her home, with the ceiling crumbling and leaking, and just her grandmother's house in disrepair. And what is AOC? The granddaughter, who makes $180,000 a year, who has whatever it is, 12 million followers, who could give a speech tomorrow and buy her, with the money and buy her grandmother a new house, who bought a new Tesla recently, and I don't know what she spent on it, but it wasn't cheap, I'm sure. Who could write a book tomorrow, probably make $10 million. She's set for life. She's a former bartender, as we know, just a few years ago, but she's set for life. And she blames the fact that her mother's house is in disrepair. Her grandmother, there it is with the ceiling coming down. Not a lot of furniture there for her abuela, but she could remedy this problem, fix this problem like that if she wanted to. Just write a check or, make a few calls, break out your credit card and take care of your grandmother. Instead, she blames Donald Trump. That's what AOC does, because that's what she does about everything. That's what people like her do for everything. Blame Trump. So Matt Walsh, who's a podcaster, and he's great. He's a blogger and a podcaster, comes up with the idea of, first of all, he criticizes her and calls her a hypocrite and blames her for not helping her own grandmother. Certainly seems obvious. And then he starts a campaign, a GoFundMe campaign to raise money to fix Grandma AOC's place, to fix her roof and fix her house up. And immediately, boom, the donations start coming in. And they raised, I think, $100,000 in a few hours, and were ready to give it to AOC's grandmother, fix the house, maybe buy a new house, who knows. And AOC, or her family, refuses to accept the money. Literally, GoFundMe returns the donations. I kick myself because I didn't donate, but I wish I did, because you get the money back, But and some people on both sides of the aisle were criticizing Walsh because it was a stunt, but it was a great stunt. It was a beautiful stunt, and it made AOC. It just shined the light on the hypocrisy of and the priorities of a person like AOC. She used her grandmother. She used her family member, who's obviously down on her luck, who needs help. She used that to bash Trump, and I assume to beg for more, or to make the case for more taxpayer money to go to help her grandmother. And then when a conservative steps up, a critic of AOC, says, why don't we do this? Let's throw out the call, raise some money, help your grandmother. And he does it beautifully, masterfully. If you read the tweets, they're all snarky and sarcastic, but the money was real. And it was a lot of conservatives. In fact, I think it was all conservatives, like prominent ones, Ben Shapiro, who's another Daily Wire guy, and a whole bunch like him kicked in and did something nice. And AOC said, no, only the government can help my grandmother. Not me, not you, only the taxpayers. That's their job. And they turned down the money. And I don't think AOC has tweeted about it since. Has she, Callahan? I know you're...
I have not seen her. I was following the story this weekend, but it is funny. I mean, he went into the whole hold on, let me put myself. But he went into the whole this is the problem with society. We literally have a problem that we can solve right now in the moment, right? And instead, we're going out and asking the government. We collectively, as human beings, can solve this issue. But no, we're just gonna, and let alone it's her friggin' family of all things. But
I mean, people were asking, why can AOC, turn down the money when the fund was created to help her grandmother? But it was like a collective. The family said no. Who cares about AOC? Let's hear from Grandma. Grandma's probably going, please, thank you, all you crazy right wingers, for saving me, fixing my ceiling. But it is amazing.
Can you imagine, as a family, you saying no because of political optics for AOC, when you can solve all your financial issues right there in one moment, but you don't want to disrespect her for PR purposes?
She could do it with a little attitude. She could be snarky right back and say, yeah, you guys want to give my grandmother money? Thanks.
Absolutely.
I still want to blame Trump. I still don't think the taxpayers aren't doing enough for Puerto Rico, but let's go. And hell, her grandmother could be driving a new Tesla just like she is, but no. And all the conservatives, and she thinks she wins when they get their money back. They all got their money back, and AOC thinks she, in the end, wins this little battle? I don't see it. I don't see how it works that
Well,
way.
Matt Walsh obviously wins because she's got to write the check now. Clearly, right? Like that house needs. She's gonna do it, right?
Yeah, I guess unless this prompts some, federal government, handout, and they say, oh, there's a grant for this or there's money set aside for that. The repairs will be done, or she'll get a new place. You're right, and someone else will pay it. Probably not AOC. I don't think AOC believes in paying for things herself. She's just such a hypocrite. As someone pointed out, it's like AOC. Where was it parked? The Tesla was parked at some big box store like a Walmart. And just think of the hypocrisy of this woman who rails against U.S. corporations, who kept Amazon out of New York. And what do you bet she's on, ordering stuff from Amazon every night, parking her nice new Tesla at a Walmart. I think
it was worse. She parked her Tesla at a Whole Foods.
At a Whole Foods, right, which is owned by Amazon. Good point. Good point. She parked her Tesla. Was it parked illegally too, or was it parked like sideways? She parked her new Tesla at a Whole Foods. This is a woman who's dedicated her life to demonizing these big corporations, and Amazon's at the top of the list. And there she was. Maybe she doesn't even know that Amazon owns, although it's pretty prominent in the stores. You kind of know that Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, but owns Whole Foods. But Jeff, you know what, AOC, Jeff Bezos appreciates your patronage because he's buying a $500 million yacht, the biggest yacht in the world, a $500 million yacht with a tender boat that has a helicopter landing pad. The boat that he uses to get in and out of, harbors has a helicopter landing pad. So thank you to AOC for that. Thanks to Matt Walsh and all the other conservatives who donated and made a fool out of AOC. All right, a couple things. We got to get to Kamala and her cookies, and we got to get to LeBron. But let me do Shea here, Callahan. I'm going to do Shea live, and I'm going to tell you something you need to know. And this, you know what? This is important because I know a lot of people are out there looking for jobs or new jobs. I mean, some don't have jobs. Some want better jobs. I'm going to tell you, there's not many companies that treat their people better than Shea Concrete, and what they're doing now, they're having a job fair. You know what? They're such a good company. Things are good, and they're always hiring, and they're going to hold a job fair, and you get to go there and see if there's a place for you at Shea Concrete. The job fair is this Saturday, June 12th, at their Amesbury facility. Beautiful facility, easy to get to, plenty of room. I think there's parking, although I don't know how many people are going to show up. But it's 8 a.m. to noon. This is a 70-year-old family business with over 30 available positions in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. June 12th, this Saturday, 8 to noon. Just show up, see if they got a position for you. They're always hiring, and they treat their people right. I've recommended it to so many people. Say, you're looking for a job, check out Shea Concrete. Stop in and visit and see if they got something for you. And let me tell you, one of the things you'll be doing if you are in the plant, you'll be making the precast concrete steps. And as I've told you before, Shea has a huge selection of their precast concrete steps. Whether you're building a new home or you need to replace an old staircase, Shea has great values with designs for any home. Available in concrete, or you can customize your steps with beautiful stone, granite, or brick. A new staircase can dramatically upgrade the front entrance of your home. In most cases, they can remove the old stairs and have you walking up your new front steps within hours. You get to sit inside on a hot day and crank the AC and let them do the work. Let them go out there and sweat and upgrade your home. As soon as they're done, your home looks better and it's worth more. It's an investment. It's a smart move. Learn more about Shea's precast concrete steps at sheaconcrete.com, or just go there Saturday, 8 to noon, and see if there's a job for you at Shea Concrete. All right, Colin, a couple other things before we wrap this up. I know what you want to do. You want the latest on the producer search to find out.
I do. I got
you're hoping.
Yeah.
You're hoping that I can't find anybody. I mean, let's face it, everybody wants their replacement to suck, right? That's kind of the way it works.
Not true. I'm a team guy. That all the stuff about me that you were told that proved out to be not accurate whatsoever. I'm a team guy. I'm a helpful guy.
Do you think Jay Leno was rooting for Conan? I mean, do you think Donald Trump's rooting for Joe Biden?
Well, I appreciate you putting my name in such esteem category with those guys. I think the producer role is a little different. I will help anybody. I'm a team guy first. You know that by now.
Yes, you're going to have to, because there's technical questions that I have to ask. I'll just do it now. I think of.
Let me do their first order of business. That's, because Gerry bounces from one location to another kind of unexpectedly at times. When he goes to the second location, he needs to have his camera on a tripod because you are so shaky. Your camera is moving around because of the laptop. So we got to get that corrected first thing for the producer.
Okay, that's not the most important thing. I want to know if I'm going to get the show up. One thing, I said this to everyone. I say Callahan's an idiot, but he gets the show. He shows up every day. He's never late. He's never asks out. He never calls in sick, not once. And the show is up. I mean, occasionally there's a little delay, but you get it done.
Yeah, but that's because of you. The delay.
You are stunningly adept technically for a moron. That's all I'll say. I've met people like you, but you go to extremes. You can't even type a simple declarative sentence that didn't make any sense. And yet you could do some things technically that just amaze me. And I need to know if the next guy is going to be as qualified technically. I can handle the, talk about their personalities and, what they do and who they are. But technically, I need to know if they can do what you can do and get the show.
Which is why I have to be a team guy. You're legitimately a technical moron. Like there's no way you can have that conversation.
Yeah, wait till you sit and work with the next guy. You think I'm a moron?
Oh, he's worse. He's worse.
Yes, he is. We're at best he's equal. I mean, or worst or whatever. But you're talking another guy with that side of the brain, not this side.
But he has a built-out studio. Like that's what sucks. Is everything that goes wrong with you? I got to try to find a way to explain it to you like an idiot. And then there's like guys like Turtle Boy have been creating content for 10 years. For Christ's sake, I'm explaining to them how to turn their microphone on. Like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, well, Shattuck was, an interesting possibility for this gig, but he's got so many things going on, including, like 12 kids and, school and coaching. He's just got so much going on. We need someone who's focused on this show, this hour every day. And there's a couple people, and hopefully they will talk to you. And I know you're not a big fan of one of them, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we can change your mind. But go ahead. I know that's all you care about. Do you have any more questions? I told you already. It's down to a couple of guys.
No.
All right, good. Then
I told you I'll help anybody who needs help. This is the remote stuff is training, though. I have a feeling you might go back to a studio setup soon. I don't know. I feel like you like that.
That's the goal. I would like to be in a studio and be able to do all the things you can do in a studio. Not that I understand half of them, but I know it sounds better, looks better, and we'll do that. We'll get there eventually.
Yep.
But it's it is.
So when's your okay? I do have one question. When do you have to hire somebody by? Like, when's your stop date to get somebody in the mix?
I don't know. You tell me. When's your last day again?
Tomorrow. Let's do tomorrow. Find them by tonight. Let's just get this over with for Christmas.
I mean, I would be scrambling, but I talked to your future boss, and he's in no rush. You're not starting with him for a while, right?
Yeah. I told you I'd figure it out. I think my last show here is the 18th. And
then you have like a week or two off?
No, we start the 28th, so 1 week. But I got to go to New York to learn background stuff. So yeah. But why don't you just find the person? They
should say, Callahan, if you want the job, you have to crawl on your hands and knees to New York. Would you do it? Would you do it?
Please, I'm a human being here. You are so dramatic with this like stepping stone bullshit that's being spewed out there. Stop the madness. All right.
I know you don't care.
I was fired after 48 hours working for this guy once, and 2 years later I'm back, but I'm using it as a stepping stool. You fucking idiots! It's insane.
He's looking forward to it, and I said I'd give you 4 months, and he said that much, 4 months, yeah. I said no, you will last, and you'll do great because you understand the deal, and he's going to rip your face off occasionally, and you'll be able to handle it. Unlike some people. You guys will have your blowouts, but you will understand that that's part of the job, and you'll show up.
I think like the audience cares now. I get DMs about it from just your fans saying who's going to be the next guy. You knew from day one there were probably 2 people in the mix, so just hire the dude. Let's figure.
You know what I've never done before? These interviews. I've done a few.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can tell right away that it's not a good fit, and you know it, but you have to talk for at least 15 minutes anyway. And I guess it's easier on the phone than in person, but it is funny. You kind of know just when you get a feel right away. But in the same vein, you get a feel right away if someone's good and has real potential. So hopefully it'll be a good fit, and hopefully they'll be able to, maybe they'll do some things better than you. They'll be able to, like literally send out a tweet that's English.
Let me break some news for you. I know for a fact the person who takes over for me is going to do many things better than I do. Let me break that news right here, right now.
And they won't be doing the hits before the show, I don't think.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame that somebody won't create content that makes people happy during a pandemic, Gerry.
Makes people happy. How come you're giving it up if it makes people happy?
Because it's just a different time. I got to be in earlier with Kurt. I don't need to explain myself to you, all right? I have my reasons.
No, you weren't giving it up because Barstool said give it up. And
they did not. You think Barstool said? You think Barstool knows about the hits?
Your new boss knows about the hits.
He didn't say shit about it. They didn't say shit about it.
And he knows it's a distraction. It's a meaningless.
Stop the madness.
Worthless
distraction. You guys are dummies. You guys are.
Why don't you keep doing it then? Why are you giving it up?
When you accept a new job and it's in a full-time capacity, your brain, yes, should probably be more focused on that. It's unfair to a new employer. So stop the nonsense that anybody told me to do anything.
Okay, that's smart, and that makes all the sense in the world, which is why I don't believe you, because you're not smart and you don't make sense. You do dumb stuff. There's no way you're giving that up just because you this new job requires your focus 100%.
Imagine if they told me I couldn't, if there was a prerequisite for the job and I said no and I kept the hits for the 50 people that I play music for. I would go down to the legend.
I'm guessing your friends, family are very impressed. You've moved up in the world. Now you're part of the Barstool family, part of that kooky, crazy Barstool crowd.
Hire a producer. Let's end this.
I'm complimenting you. I'm telling you, you should be proud, and I'm sure all your friends are impressed. And you'll be tweeting at all the Spittin' Chicklets guys in a matter of days, and you could just feel the euphoria just oozing out of your pores. But that's good. We all have goals in life, and you've reached yours, and hopefully, you hang in there. 4 months. What do you give it? 6?
I give it. No, it'll be a good run. I'll outlast Kirk. What did Kirk say? He's going to work for 3 more years. I'll outlast Kirk. I'll be there till the end. I'll absolutely be there till the end. Yes.
What if they tell you have to move to New York?
All right. I guess if it depends when that happens. If that happens, that's not happening.
Hey, they might move back to Boston, right?
New York is such a shithole. I'm not going to.
It is now. That's for sure.
Yes, it is. Oh God.
Well, maybe they'll move. Doesn't Portnoy always threaten to move the headquarters back to Boston? Now he's threatening to move him to.
Yeah, he's in Miami. Yeah, he's in Miami, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, but he also said in one of those interviews that he's done a lot of interviews lately. He said that it wouldn't work in Miami. He think his guys would just get in trouble, and he had no intention of moving. Although he's renting a house for like $200,000 for a month or something. Yep. He's not moving the whole operation down there. I think you got to be in New York, don't you? I mean, it makes the most.
I mean, it made sense from when they were acquired, or not acquired. When Churn & Company bought them or whatever, invested in them. However, the media and ad agencies are all in New York. Guests are going to New York for talk shows. Made total sense. So they'll obviously always keep that there.
I think he'll stay there. He just travels around on a private jet anyway. But speaking of a couple things before we're done here. Speaking of flying around in a private jet, Kamala Harris, who, by the way, I think it's 75 days since she was named the czar of the southern border, still hasn't gone there, still hasn't done a press conference about the immigration disaster at the southern border, orchestrated, planned disaster. There was some media on Air Force 2 with her. She's such a nice woman. Thoughtful. She went to the back of the plane where the media was and handed out cookies. Did you see these cookies?
Her face?
There's a picture of her face on the cookie. I mean, we knew this woman was a narcissist on Memorial Day, which she sent out a picture of herself, not of, the American cemetery at Normandy, not of some American hero died in combat, not of even a, service member who's lost his legs or given so much to this country. A picture of herself who's given nothing, done nothing, sacrificed nothing. Picture of herself on Memorial Day. It doesn't even mention the military. It just says, have a great weekend, everybody. Got mocked for it mercilessly, but she's so tone deaf. She gave out cookies with her face on them. What do you do with that? Do you eat it? Do you save it? Is it a souvenir? Do you just give it to somebody else?
I always assume that cookies with stuff like that on it just taste like shit.
Right. They're not.
You know what I mean? Like they're just.
Yeah, we just had them for my son's graduation where they had a picture of like some of them have a gown, a cap, graduation cap, and others said, congratulations. You're right. You look at them, you go, those don't taste that.
She's probably not even thinking about peanut allergies too. You know, like all these things that you got to be thinking about in those moments. She's just the height of arrogance.
Yes. And see, why don't you find a picture for our vast YouTube audience to show them this cookie, because it's comical. It's kind of a bad cartoon version of Kamala, and I'll bet you the media. It'd been great if we had video. If someone got the phone out and took video, because I bet the media was swooning. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Vice President. So nice of you. Mike Pence never gave us cookies. You are so nice to us. Is there anything we could do better? Brian, our guy, Brian Steltler, our colleague, asked this of Jen Psaki, but we want to hear from you. What can we do better? Have you been criticized too much? Can we be nicer? Can we be more supportive of you, Mrs. Vice President? Oh, these cookies are so delicious. That's what they did. They ate the cookies. They wanted to spit them out. They were so bad, but they told her how wonderful they were. All right. Lastly, Callahan, we do have to celebrate because LeBron James, as we all know, is a big social justice warrior. He is there, he's there to defend, marginalized people, defend people who've been just, victims of racism, discrimination, genocide in China. Not so much. We don't talk about that. We know if you criticize China, that, according to LeBron, means you're uneducated. Speaking of uneducated, he targeted, doxed the cop who saved the life of the girl in pink in Columbus, Ohio. Didn't pay any price for that, but whatever. He's another guy who hates cops. LeBron lost first time ever in the first round, and announced immediately that he and his teammates were boycotting the rest of the playoffs, in the name of social justice. They will not be playing anymore. It was good to see. He quit on his team. He walked off the court, went to the locker room with 6 minutes left in the second to last loss, and went quietly. And it was great to see. Not enough bad things can happen to LeBron for me. And that was enjoyable to see the way he went out. And we always hear comparisons to other all-time greats. Let me tell you, Michael Jordan, not only would he have not lost that series, he wouldn't have quit on his team and walked off the court. Larry Bird wouldn't have quit on his team and walked off the court. Magic Johnson, no. Only LeBron is that selfish and that weak to walk off and give up the way he did. It was pretty.
No, I think I'm gonna play for the Toon Squad this summer instead of Olympics. I think that's what that's my focus on trying to beat the Monstars or the Goon Squad, we call them now.
Can you imagine getting booted from the playoffs and
What's
you
he
actually
talking
care about your team? He's talking about promoting Space Jam instead of playing in the Olympics.
Oh, the Toon Squad. I get it.
Just got booted from the playoffs, and he's talking about promoting the movie.
Well, I can't imagine. No, any of the above. The aforementioned stars doing that. Michael Jordan was the original Space Jam, and I don't think he said when lost, which he didn't often do. I don't think he said when whatever he lost to the Celtics in his second year after scoring 63 in overtime. I don't think he said, "I'm going to go make a cartoon movie now. No big deal." What a fraud! And I hope he's done when it comes to winning titles. But speaking of sounding pathetic, I don't know if you heard this last night. I didn't mention this before. A-Rod on the game last night. Red Sox Yankees. Red Sox won in the whatever was 10th. A-Rod sounded sad every time he'd do some analysis. I had to listen closely to make sure it was him, but he sounded sad, and I don't blame him because his soulmate has moved on. J-Lo is now back to her old boyfriend, Ben Affleck, and they're making, according to, I think it was TMZ or maybe the New York Post, they've been spending a lot of time together at his place in LA, and now they're going to spend the summer together. They're going to shack up, and A-Rod sounds forlorn.
That makes me so happy. I hate that. I hate that. That is one of the guys. He irritates me from so many levels. I mean, the steroid stuff and all that, that's enough to just hate a person. But everything else, he has just manipulated every media company in the world. He is purposely probably coming off sad so that the public can feel bad for him because that's all he thinks about
Right.
is how his reputation is. And can he then parlay that into the next opportunity and real estate deal? The guy is the worst. He sucks. I wish nothing but the worst for A-Rod.
I do not disagree. I mean, I do not. I used to like him, but then the more you learn, I mean, I always say you want to stump A-Rod, ask him his daughter's birthdays. Ask him, what grade they're in, or
there was one moment. I gotta remember it, and I could go back to a clip. There was one moment with A-Rod, and it actually was Curt Schilling told an A-Rod story that made it was like wasn't it like the first episode we did together at the Legacy Club? We did an interview with Curt Schilling, and he told an A-Rod story. I wish I could remember it in the moment, but he made me feel speck of respect for A-Rod because of this story. It happened in a parking lot.
Oh, right.
Nobody's around. One speck, and then the next day A-Rod does something stupid anyway.
Yes, he's just such a egomaniac, and it's good to see. Although if you're Ben Affleck, she's been with A-Rod all this time. I mean, he's I don't know, but and good luck to what is it called? Benifer,
yeah, good. Yeah,
good luck to Benifer. Those cute kids.
18 years later, that's real romance right there. You don't go back for no reason.
You know what? That Ben's been dreaming about. There's something J-Lo does that none of his other girlfriends or wives do. Something. Yep. I don't know what it is, but there's something, and he has been looking forward to this. And he looks happy.
I've never been with J-Lo, but she does it for me too. Whatever that is, she does it for me. So yeah, I can totally understand where he's coming from here.
Yes, the media catches him out for a cigarette. Like he goes out and he's always got a coffee and a cigarette. He looks like stressed out. He looks like he's I don't know. Looks like he needs a drink, but I think he's sober. I don't know. And then they see him together and he looks happy. Ben looks happy around. So I think those two kids belong together. Hopefully they stay together this time, and hopefully it drives A-Rod nuts. But anyway, we gotta leave it there. Thank you to Shea Concrete and DCU, and thanks to Allied Paving and everybody for watching and listening. By the way, we called for some reviews. We got a bunch of reviews. I think it's still close. We got to get to 4,000. We need like 50 more. I want to get to 4,000 reviews before Cully moves on to Cully Heaven what was the date again? The 18th?
18th will be I mean, I'm still here, like I said, I'll
11 days. We should be able to do it.
Oh yeah.
If you get a chance, go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating and write a review. Just
and make sure too.
A couple people, review your performance on there, which is fine. They want to do that.
Yep.
They can tell us what they don't like, but give us a review. I want to get to $4,000 before we say goodbye to Cully.
Yeah, and I might as well keep doing this disclaimer because I get literally 25 DMs a day and tweets or whatever. If the show doesn't appear in your feed, no matter whatever the platform is, unsubscribe and resubscribe. And if you're a listener of this show consistently, you listen every day, unsubscribe and resubscribe anyway because it tricks the algorithm and it's a good thing for the show. So just
listen, see that. Hopefully, my next producer understands all that because that sounds. And you know what? Unsubscribe, resubscribe, and tell your friends to subscribe. Okay, That's what we need.
That's what we need,
and we appreciate it. Anything else, Callahan?
That is all. I'm still on the PGA side with Jon Rahm, just to let you know, because rules are rules and they're meant to be followed. And that's all I say.
And today there's like 900 professional golfers getting vaccinated because the fact, I think if he'd gotten vaccinated like back at least a couple of weeks ago when somebody was probably asking him, pressuring him to do it, he'd have $1.7 million more dollars. Jon Rahm should do PSAs. If you're whatever, Biden, Fauci, whoever, trying to get people to get vaccinated, Gavin Newsom giving people, putting them in a lottery, or what does de Blasio give them? French fries.
Yep.
You get French fries. Some places you get a beer, some places you get a cheeseburger, because there's nothing nothing wrong with getting fat in the middle of a pandemic that kills fat people. But anyway, there's lots of perks out there for people getting vaccinated. Jon Rahm, if he were to do a PSA today saying, if I'd gotten vaccinated a couple of weeks ago, I'd have 1.7 more million. I'd have a trophy from the memorial. I'd have another win. That would be very effective. Plus, he's Spanish. They're always trying to reach out to Hispanics and minorities and people of color. I think Jon Rahm, if they got him to do it, if he'd agree to do it, would be a very effective spokesman. Hell of a lot more effective than Biden or Kamala or people who said they weren't going to get the vaccine if Trump were president, those people suddenly after Trump lost said, hey, everyone's got to get vaccinated. Those people don't have a lot of credibility. Jon Rahm would, but I'm sure he'd probably.
Oh, you know what? I know what I blanked, and that's why I brought up Rahm. Did you see any of this Logan Paul Mayweather fight?
No, but I read about it.
This is the future of boxing. It's actually not a bad thing if they're going to take it as. I mean, I don't know if Mayweather went easy on him a little bit.
A draw, just a draw. Nobody.
Well, it was that's what I missed out on. It was an exhibition, so I knew it wasn't going to count on their records, but they didn't score it, which is insane. Like the individual, like ESPN individually scored themselves and declared Mayweather the winner. And
celebrities all went there, right? There's a bunch of celebrities. I saw that. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't watch it if it were on like ESPN. Might flip by it, but
yes, you would. You would
travel somewhere for this fight.
You would watch it. There was enough good.
First of all, Mayweather fights usually suck. Now he's fighting a celebrity, and they're just gonna, play whatever, slap tickle fight. It had no appeal to me.
Whatever. It's entertainment. There's
what?
It's a hype. Yeah,
Colin, I'm going to give you credit because I'm in on playoff hockey. I'm in on this Bruins Islanders series. I'm going to watch tonight. Good. The other night was so intense. I'm not really focused on the first period, maybe not even the second, but I'm focused in on the third period, 1-goal game, tie game, nothing better. I don't even root. I don't even care who wins. I just find it riveting. It's the opposite of Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather. There's no intensity there. It's not even real. Why would you care about that? Is that where Portnoy was and he was taunting Brooks Koepka?
It's like a hybrid. I guess it's perfect for me, right? It's a hybrid between being a star fucker like me and reality TV like WWE. There's some good shit talk with these, but at least Logan Paul went out there and threw some haymakers. Like he lasted 8 rounds and he was throwing them.
And he's jacked, and he's how much more does he weigh than Mayweather?
He weighs a lot more. Well, I think he's like 6'3", and what's Mayweather, 5'9"?
That must have killed. Back to A-Rod, must have killed him. He had to work last night. He couldn't go to that. That was all about being seen. It was all like, look at me, I'm here. Where was it again? Where was the fight?
It was Miami. What's a Hard Rock Stadium? I want to find out the numbers on this, by the way, too, because Mayweather was guaranteed $10 million and 50% of the pay-per-view sales. Logan Paul was guaranteed $250K. And 10% of the pay-per-view sales. I want to see because Showtime crashed. People couldn't buy it, and it was all messed up last night. I want to see the numbers.
I can't imagine buying that. I'd rather give my hard-earned money to AOC's abuela. If you did that, you got your money back. It's the perfect donation. But all right, that is it for today. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.